has hailed the Supreme Court verdict on Ayodhya as one strengthening the cause of secular democracy. Congress spokesperson Anand Sharma said that the government petition to vacate the stay on religious activity at the undisputed land was ill-advised. He said the BJP-led NDA government was eager to appease communal forces.
This strengthens and upholds the basic tenets of a secular democracy. The government's application in first place was ill-advised. There was no reason why the government should have gone to the court. It was eager to appease the fundamentalists or the extreme fringes of the Sangh Parivar. It was clear to everybody that the government was doing so under the pressure of the Vishwa Hindu Parishad, Bajrang Dal and other similar organizations.
The Election Commission has issued a set of guidelines making it mandatory for candidates to declare the criminal antecedents, if any, at the time of filing nominations. Armed with a recent Supreme Court order on electoral reforms, the Election Commission also made it mandatory for the candidates to declare their assets and liabilities at the time of filing nominations. The guidelines will come into force with immediate effect. Elections to 3 Rajya Sabha seats in Kerala next month would be held under the new guidelines. As per the new guideline, each candidate's affidavit shall be duly sworn on before a magistrate or notary public or commissioner of oaths appointed by the State High Court. Non-furnishing of the affidavit by any candidate shall be considered violation of the Supreme Court order and will be rejected at the time of scrutiny itself. Well, in more news, traders began observance of a 2-day shutdown all over India, protesting the value-added tax regime, which comes into force tomorrow. In Tamil Nadu, the closure of shops was near total. Reports said shops were also closed in Delhi, Kolkata, Mumbai and elsewhere across the country.
The union government, wishing to bring in a uniform equitable sales tax system all over the country, is to enforce the value-added tax regime from 1st April. The trading community has called a 2-day closure in protest, saying VAT will affect them adversely. Almost all shops in cities and towns across Tamil Nadu were closed. So also shops in Delhi, Mumbai, Kolkata and other urban centres in the country. Satish Sutra of the Delhi Traders Association said they are opposed to the way in which VAT is being introduced.
VAT, but we are against the way it has been incorporated and the laws incorporated therein, where we have no right to make any appeals, where we cannot defend ourselves. And the person who issues the order is all supreme.
The protest continues on Tuesday.
Union Law Minister Arun Jaitley has defended the centre's decision to file a fresh affidavit in Vaiko's case before the Supreme Court. He also said Vaiko's impugned speech does not attract the provisions of POTA. Law Minister Arun Jaitley said in New Delhi that the mistake in filing the government's affidavit in the Vaiko case had to be inquired into. He also said the mistake had been committed at a junior level and the Attorney General has already taken steps to rectify it.
As far as Mr. Vaiko is concerned, our clear stand in the past has been that the context in which he had delivered that speech, coupled with his subsequent clarification, the provisions of POTA could not have been attracted. As the Attorney General has already clarified, at a very junior level, an error had crept in. The Attorney General himself looked into the matter, and in consonance with an earlier opinion that he himself has given, he has revised the affidavit of the government, which revised affidavit will be presented to the court. But isn't this an embarrassing?
Jaitley said in Vaiko's case, the provisions of POTA had not been used correctly. DMK President M. Karunanidhi has urged the centre to direct the Tamil Nadu government to refrain from misusing POTA provisions to settle political scores.
Speaking in Chennai, M. Karunanidhi said he was satisfied with the centre filing a new affidavit in the Supreme Court in the Vaiko case. He said it was true that DMK, the Patali Makkal Katchi and MDMK had supported the POTA when it was passed to stamp out terrorism. There is no change in their stance on that score. But he said the centre should ask the Tamil Nadu government not to misuse POTA.
தவறாக பயன்படுத்துறாங்க தமிழ்நாட்டில். அதுக்கு சென்ட்ரல் கவர்மெண்ட் டைரக்ஷன் தான் கொடுக்கணும்.
Karunanidhi said he will soon meet the parties which participated in the 29th March fast to decide on the next course of action with regard to POTA. The fast was observed to demand the release of all POTA detainees in the state, including MDMK General Secretary Vaiko and Tamil Nationalist Movement leader P. Nedumaran. The centre and the Jammu and Kashmir government have decided to set up a special group in the wake of the Nandimar killings. Special Secretary in the Home Ministry A.K. Kamandari will head the special group to review existing strategy of the security forces and intelligence agencies in the state. The group will also suggest an appropriate strategy to be followed to counter terrorism. The group will have representatives from the army, paramilitary forces, intelligence agencies and the Jammu and Kashmir government. The high-level meeting convened by Deputy Prime Minister L.K. Advani reviewed the security situation in Jammu and Kashmir. The meeting decided to constitute a special group to monitor the security situation in the aftermath of the killing of 24 Kashmiri Pandits in Nandimarg in Pulwama district. Besides stepping up security in the state, it has also been decided to send strong signals to militants and other anti-national elements. The meeting also reviewed the implications of the state government's policies and plans to resettle Kashmiri Hindus. The meeting was attended among others by Defence Minister George Fernandes, External Affairs Minister Yashwant Sinha, Jammu and Kashmir Governor G.C. Saxena, Chief Minister Mufti Muhammad Saeed, Army Chief General N.C. Vij, State DGP A.K. Suri and top Army and intelligence officers. Union Commerce Minister Arun Jaitley announced the new EXIM policy for 2003-2004 within the parameters of the 5-year policy expounded by his predecessor Muraswamy Maran on the same day last year. The policy seeks to consolidate and accelerate India's growth by capitalizing on areas of core competence. It also identifies services and agro-exports as important engines of growth. The policy also aims to boost non-traditional service sectors such as healthcare, entertainment and professional services, as well as traditional areas like tourism. Export of 5 items have been removed from the restricted list in a bid to attain $80 billion worth of exports by the year 2007.
Announcing a major package for export of services, Commerce Minister Arun